If you think Africa is all about safaris and lions, you are missing out on the most mysterious and culturally rich country on the continent. Most travelers fly right over Benin without realizing they are skipping the birthplace of voodoo, a village built entirely on a lake, and some of the most powerful history you will ever experience. Benin is not the kind of place you go to sit by a pool and sip a drink. It is a place that challenges everything you think you know about religion, history, and how people live. Today, I'm going to show you 20 things to do in Benin that will completely change your perspective. We are going to explore hidden palaces, walk the path of the slave trade, and see things that look like actual magic. There is a specific secret about the northern mountains that almost no one tells you, and we will get to that in a bit. To understand Benin, you have to understand the Kingdom of Dahomey. This wasn't just some small tribe. It was a massive military power. When you walk into the Royal Palaces of Abomey, you are walking into the heart of that power. There were 12 kings who ruled from here, and each one built his own palace. Today, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but it feels much more alive than a dusty museum. As you walk through, look closely at the walls. You will see these carvings, called bas-reliefs. They tell the stories of battles and the strength of the kings. Here is a wild fact for you. Legend says that some of the mortar used to build these walls was mixed with the blood of defeated enemies. It sounds intense because it was. This was the home of the famous Dahomey Amazons, an all-female army of elite warriors. Seeing where they trained and lived makes you realize just how unique this culture was compared to anywhere else in the world. Right inside that palace complex is the museum. This is where you get to see the actual stuff the kings used. We are talking about massive silver thrones, intricate jewelry, and weapons that have seen real combat. One of the most famous items is a throne that literally sits on top of human skulls. It's a heavy reminder of how much power the Dahomey kings held. You can't take photos inside, which actually makes the experience better because you are forced to really look and feel the weight of the history around you. It's quiet, a bit dark, and honestly, it's a little bit intimidating, but that is exactly why you have to go. Ouidah's Route des Esclaves. This is a heavy one, but it is probably the most important thing you will do in Benin. Ouidah was one of the biggest ports for the slave trade in all of Africa. The Route des Esclaves, or the slave route, is a 4-kilometer path that enslaved people were forced to walk from the auction blocks in the center of town down to the ships on the beach. As you walk this path today, there are statues and memorials along the way. It is a very quiet walk. Most people find themselves getting silent as they realize thousands of people took these exact same steps, knowing they would never see their homes again. It's not an easy tourist activity, but it's a necessary one if you want to respect the history of the people here. At the very end of that long walk in Ouidah, you reach the beach. Standing right there, facing the Atlantic Ocean, is the door of no return. It's a massive memorial arch covered in carvings of people in chains. Standing under that arch and looking out at the waves is an emotional experience that is hard to put into words. It marks the spot where people were loaded onto ships to be sent across the world. It's a place for reflection. Even if you aren't a history buff, the energy here is something you can feel in your bones. It's a beautiful beach, but the history makes it a very solemn place. Now, let's head north to the Atakora Mountains. This is where you find the land of the Batamariba, also known as Kutamaku. This place looks like something out of a fantasy movie. The people here, the Batamariba, build these incredible mud tower houses called Tata Samba. They look like tiny 2-story castles made of earth and straw. The ground floor is usually for the animals, and the family lives on the upper level, which often has a flat roof for drying grain. These houses weren't just for living. They were built as fortresses to protect the families from slave traders and wild animals. The architecture is so unique that UNESCO protected the whole area. Meeting the people here is a highlight. They are incredibly proud of their heritage and how they have kept their traditional way of life alive for hundreds of years. When you get to Porto Novo, the capital city, you're going to see something that looks like it belongs in Brazil. The Great Mosque is one of the most beautiful buildings in the country. It was built in a style brought back by formerly enslaved people who returned from Brazil. Instead of the usual domes you might expect, it has bright colors, intricate plasterwork, and a look that reminds you of an old colonial church in South America. It's a perfect example of how different cultures in Benin have mixed together over time to create something totally new. Okay, let's talk about one of the biggest challenges travelers face when coming to Benin: the fear of voodoo. In the West, we are taught that voodoo is about dolls and curses, but that is just a Hollywood myth. In Benin, voodoo is a religion of peace and respect for nature. Nowhere is this clearer than the Python Temple in Ouidah. Inside, there are dozens of pythons just chilling out. And here is the thing: they are sacred. The people believe the pythons are protectors. If you are brave enough, the priests will let you put one around your neck. They are very calm and surprisingly soft. The challenge for most visitors is getting past that initial fear. Once you do, you realize the temple isn't a scary place at all. It's a place of deep spiritual respect. Not far from the Python Temple is the sacred forest. Legend says that an ancient king named Kapase disappeared here and turned into a tree to escape his enemies. Today, the forest is filled with old, massive trees and statues representing different voodoo spirits, or gods. Walking through the forest feels like entering another world. It's cool, shaded, and very peaceful. Your guide will explain what each statue represents. Some are for health, some for protection, and some for prosperity. It's a great way to learn the actual basics of the religion without all the scary movie nonsense. If you get the chance to see a Zangbedo ceremony, do not pass it up. The Zangbedos are the guardians of the night. They look like giant spinning haystacks. They dance to the sound of heavy drumming, and the way they move is mesmerizing. The magic part happens when the dancers stop. Sometimes they will flip the haystack over, and there is absolutely no one inside. Then they flip it back, and it starts dancing again. Whether you believe in the spiritual side of it or not, the performance is incredible. It's loud, it's vibrant, and it's a core part of how justice and order are kept in local villages. It's one of those moments where you just have to stop trying to explain everything and just enjoy the spectacle. If you want to understand the why behind the masks and the ceremonies, head to this museum in the capital. It's not huge, but it's packed with information. They have a massive collection of Galita masks. These masks are used in ceremonies to honor women and elders. The carvings on top of the masks can represent anything from a simple animal to a complex scene of modern life, like a man on a bicycle. It's a great place to see the craftsmanship that goes into these spiritual objects. While you're in Porto Novo, visit the Honmei Museum. This was the palace of King Tofa, who was the ruler when the French arrived. It's a much more intimate look at royal life than the big palaces in Abomey. You can see the courtyards where the king met with his advisors and the private rooms of his many wives. It gives you a sense of how the traditional power structures tried to navigate the changing world as Europe began to move in. This is often called the Venice of Africa, but honestly, I think Ganvier is more interesting than Venice. It is a village of about 30,000 people living in houses built on stilts in the middle of Lake Nokoué. The story behind it is fascinating. Hundreds of years ago, the Tofinu people fled onto the lake to escape the Dahomey slave traders, because the traders' religion forbade them from attacking anyone on water. They stayed there, and today, everything happens on the water. People go to school in boats. They shop in floating markets, where women paddle around selling fruit and fish. And there's even a floating post office. You have to take a boat from Abomey Calavi to get there. Spending a few hours moving through the streets of the lake is an experience you won't find anywhere else on Earth. If you want a more quiet water experience, head to Lake Aheme. This lake is deeply spiritual. The local fishermen still use traditional methods, and they have a very close relationship with the water deities. You can take a boat tour where the guide will explain the sacred parts of the lake where fishing is forbidden. It's a great place to learn about the balance between nature and religion. Plus, the fish you get for lunch right out of the water is some of the best you will ever taste. After all that history and culture, you might need a break. Grand Popo is the place for that. It's a small, laid-back town with long stretches of golden sand and palm trees. It's not a resort town with massive hotels. It's more of a place where you stay in a small guest house and listen to the waves. The Atlantic can be quite rough here, so swimming isn't always the best idea. But for walking, reading, and just breathing in the sea air, it's perfect. Near Grand Popo is a spot called the Bouche du Roi, or the King's Mouth. This is where the Mono River finally meets the Atlantic Ocean. The landscape here is stunning. You have the calm river water on one side and the crashing salt water on the other. You can take a boat out to the sandbars and watch the two waters mix. It's a very peaceful, scenic spot that feels like the edge of the world. While you're in the area, take a boat trip up the Mono River itself. You'll glide through thick mangroves where you can see all kinds of birds. Often, you'll see small voodoo shrines tucked into the trees along the riverbank. It's a very different vibe from the big cities. You see people washing clothes in the river, kids swimming, and life moving at a much slower pace. If you want to see how the locals relax, go to Fidrose Beach in Cotonou on a Sunday afternoon. It is packed. There is music everywhere. People are grilling fresh fish right on the sand, and the energy is infectious. It's the best place to get a feel for the modern, urban life of Benin. Grab a cold drink, find a spot under a hut, and just people watch. It's loud, messy, and a whole lot of fun. Now we have to talk about the wildlife. Pendjari is arguably the best national park in West Africa. If you want to see elephants, hippos, and maybe even a lion, this is where you go. Because it's not as famous as the parks in East Africa, you don't have 20 other jeeps crowded around one animal. It feels much more wild and adventurous. The landscape is beautiful, with dry savanna and rocky hills. It's a long drive from the south, but seeing a herd of elephants at a watering hole at sunset makes every hour in the car worth it. This park is actually shared between Benin, Niger, and Burkina Faso. It's named W because the Niger River meanders through it in the shape of a W. It's more rugged and harder to get to than Pendjari, but for the true adventurer, it's a dream. It's one of the last places in West Africa where you can find a significant population of cheetahs and African manatees. Deep in the north, near Pendjari, are the Tanugo Falls. After a dusty safari, these waterfalls are like a dream. The water is cool and clear, and there's a big natural pool at the bottom where you can swim. It's surrounded by lush green trees, which is a big contrast to the dry plains nearby. It's a popular spot for locals, and it's the perfect place to wash off the dust of the road. Another great set of falls is Kota Falls, near the town of Natitingu. These are tucked into a forest and are incredibly scenic. There are some nice walking paths around the area, and it's a great place for a picnic. It's one of those hidden gems that makes you realize Benin has a lot more natural beauty than people give it credit for. This whole northern region is dominated by the Atakara Mountains. If you like hiking, this is your playground. The views from the ridges are incredible, looking out over the plains of Benin and Togo. The air is a bit cooler up here, and the landscape is dotted with those amazing Tata Samba houses we talked about earlier. Coming back to the city, you have to experience Dantokpa Market in Cotonou. It is one of the largest open-air markets in all of West Africa. It is massive, over 20 hectares. It is also completely overwhelming in the best way possible. You can buy anything here: clothes, electronics, giant piles of spices, and even voodoo supplies. The voodoo section is the most famous part for tourists. You'll see dried plants, animal parts, and carved statues used in ceremonies. It's not for the faint of heart, and you should always ask before taking photos. But it's not just a fascinating look at the practical side of the local beliefs. The market is loud, it smells like a million different things, and you will probably get lost. But that is all part of the fun. If the chaos of Dantokpa is too much for you, head to the Center Artisanal. It's a much calmer place to shop for souvenirs. You can find beautiful wood carvings, hand-woven textiles, and bronze statues. The quality is usually very high, and it's a great way to support local artists directly. For a taste of modern Benin, you must visit Foundation Zinsu. This is a contemporary art museum that showcases artists from all over Africa. The building itself is beautiful, and the exhibitions are world-class. It shows that while Benin is proud of its history, it is also a place of modern creativity and forward-thinking ideas. While driving through Cotonou, you'll see some massive monuments. Place des Martyrs commemorates those who died during a mercenary attack in the 70s. Étoile Rouge, or Red Star Square, is a huge monument from the time when Benin was a Marxist-Leninist state. They are great landmarks that help you piece together the political history of the country. You cannot leave Benin without eating your weight in pounded yam, known locally as ignam pile. They take boiled yams and pound them in a large wooden mortar until they are smooth and stretchy. It's usually served with a delicious, spicy peanut or tomato-based sauce with goat meat or fish. Another must-try is a miwo, which is a red corn paste often served with fried chicken. The food is hearty, spicy, and very filling. In the north, you have to try wagasi. It's a local cheese made by the Fulani people. It has a unique red rind because it's dipped in a specific leaf extract to preserve it. You can eat it fresh, but most people prefer it fried or cooked in a sauce. It has a texture similar to halloumi and doesn't melt easily, making it the perfect snack. Finally, end package tours.